He did say recently that the Bureau de Change, the BDCs, are actually fighting the Naira.
You see, we will miss the point if we shift away from the key issue that he has talked about, where the nation depends substantially on
imported
no,
goods.
on crude oil.
Okay.
And what a lot of pseudo experts in the oil and gas tell Nigeria is to diversify. It's wrong. It's intensification that we're talking about.
Reasons, being given by Mefiele. He did say recently that the Bureau de Change, the BDCs, are actually fighting the Naira.
You see, we will miss the point if we shift away from the key issue that he has talked about, where the nation depends substantially on
imported
no,
goods.
on crude oil.
Okay.
And what a lot of pseudo experts in the oil and gas tell Nigeria is to diversify. It's wrong. It's intensification that we're talking about. How do you
mean?
How do I mean? Forward and backward integration. And that's why the multinationals are laughing at us. Now, Nigeria today, as I'm speaking to you, does not even have a shipping arm that loads billions, millions of this barrel. And that's what made Aris Onassis multi-millionaire when he was doing a joint venture with Saudi Arabia, Aramco. And we're not even refining. It's just like somebody, let me give you a local analogy. Now you have this push borehole in your house, and this man comes with this push hole. And then you convert it to pure water, and you sell it to him to start buying it in the, bottled water, 100 naira, and you're taking a bath. And that's what we're doing. And the funny thing is that unless we intensify and ensure that even the local community, why the refineries are not even working, is that we have not factored in the local community. There was a time during Yaradua's time, the issue about factoring the local communities as a panacea developed by Lee Kuan Yew. So why is your housing project working? He said, look, how do I come to a new place and begin to talk about investments when I'm not involved in the stakeholders? And this is so why your refineries are not working is that they keep on blowing the pipeline.
Because they don't feel that they are stakeholders.
Exactly. So you now export at $20 per barrel. And candle, buckets, perfumes, jet fuel, come on. We're close to $1,500 per barrel. So that's how the economy has to go on tubes. Other nations, China, India, America, they've come to realize that, look, it has to be a win-win situation. The oil operating companies, international oil operating companies, under Buhari presidency, who was a former commissioner, they call them, of petroleum, can call them and say, look, this game is over. I have the finest refinery, and what they call it is the short run, straight run. You may not even refine Nigeria's oil. Most of these ships that come, they just, the Bonny Light, I don't no longer see it in the New York Stock Exchange listing. It's no longer there. And it's the finest oil all over the world. So they come, they load, and then they call what we call bunkering. The same oil, you can put it into your tanker and fire the ships, and off you go. They're making a hell lot of money. So Nigeria has a strategic advantage. They can run the refineries. What does it take to run a refinery? It's it's a very simple technology, and it was developed in 1856 thereabout in Pennsylvania, USA. And you just like this ordinary Accra ball seller, you just put fire, and then you have cooling system. The first that comes out is normally jet fuel, which is the most expensive. And then, they try to tell you in a football game, oh, it can't be done, it's so expensive. You can have a refinery up and running.
But the so-called militants in the Niger Delta are already doing that.
Yeah.
How come we're not?
Exactly. Because they're trying to expose the secret to you, and some of the guys who are making billions out of it, they say, no, destroy these refineries. It's interesting. And that's what my Lafia is talking about, that there are some kind of hidden hands doing a lot of things. And that is about time. And you couldn't have any change because the guys on the top, as we've seen in the EFCC cases, like he also is a former central bank deputy governor was saying, there are a lot of people that ought to regulate the industry. They've become the thieves themselves. So right now, It's a golden opportunity for Nigerians, you know, to put a weight on the political weight on the Buhari presidency. And look, he was even in the Dubai, the oil capital.
Yes.
I was in Dubai one time,
The
and that was
future energy.
I was in Dubai in 1997 on the oil and gas tanker conference and all that kind of thing. Because they took a strategic position. The former, I think, Treasury Secretary of UK or so was delivering a paper. He said, if there was one country that had taken advantage of this God-given product, oil and gas, and had maximized it, they're into shipping, they're into refining, they're into export, it says Dubai.
Indeed.
And this policy, Nigerians ought to know that as far back as 1750-something, I think one Walpole, I think it's the Prime Minister, UK Prime Minister, he said, look, for UK economy to become a world leader, for the pound sterling to be very strong, we must have a policy of adding value and exporting manufactured goods. Make sure that the colonies only export raw crude primary products. So long as they do that, so long will our currencies. So you need to reverse that trend.
So, Mr. Melafia, where do we go from here? What exactly should we be doing going forward to make sure that we actually, you know, remove ourselves from this position of vulnerability on the part of the West, you know, the conspiracy, seeming.
No, you're getting it wrong. You see, that's the problem we're having. It's not actually a conspiracy. You see, if we...
the idea is to protect their own interests.
No, that's what I said. It's a win-win situation.
Okay.
It's not a we-they atmosphere.
Okay.
And again, I want to refer to Lee Kuan Yew. He said, look, the mistake a lot of developing countries make, it's they look at investors as, hey, some strangers have come, so please go away. We don't want you. And I said, I took a different position, and that's why I could move from the third world to a first world. It's not about the Western oil companies. No, I'd interacted with them when I was in the controversial NIMASA. I'd interacted with them when I was in NNPC. The 7 o'clock meeting, they're there.
So what is the problem?
The problem is on our side.
Okay, Mr. Melafia, you did hear what my guest in the studio said. Like I was trying to, you know, find out exactly where we can go from here. I mean, chart a course for this government, really, because they seem to be struggling under the weight of, they're struggling under the weight of the, you know, prevailing economic, global economic situation. And of course, the CBN, who are the ones at the end of the day who will translate this in terms of, you know, fiscal policies and what have you?
Well, to be honest with you, I have a great respect for this president. Everybody agrees that he means well for the country. He is pained by all the wrong things he has seen, and is doing his best to address them. So he came to power with a lot of moral capital. But I don't think they actually thought they were going to win. And the electoral victory took them completely by surprise. And up till now, they haven't really got to the real brass tacks of governing, especially governing the economy of this country. There's no economic blueprint. Everything is being run on an ad hoc basis. You need a clear economic blueprint. If people like Chief Obafemi Awolowo were in charge of this country, goodness me, there would have been a clear economic blueprint. There would have been a decisive economic team. There would have been an economic war room where every day we're working rigorously on rebuilding the economy of this country. We haven't seen that yet. I hope that they will not waste further time in putting such a team together and having a clear blueprint. In saying this, in my heart of hearts, I know that this country is destined for greatness, no matter what anybody thinks, whether in Nigeria or outside. And it does not bother me what others think. It is what we know we are, the potentials that we have, and leverage on those potentials to build a great country. We must move away from this addiction with oil. Nigeria can survive without oil, by the way, Oil today, after the rebasing of the economy, makes up less than 20% of the GDP of this country. It is only in the area of trade, where we don't have alternatives for foreign earnings, that oil still has a dominant place. So we need to move with speed to other sectors. I hear nothing about manufacturing. What are we doing? Without industrialization, this country will not survive. How else are we going to give jobs to millions and millions of young people who are coming out of the school system every year? So we need to move away from oil. We need to industrialize the economy of this country. We need to go into solid minerals. We need to reboot agriculture. We need to go into, adding up the value chain and expanding networks for global trade. This is where the future lies.
Mr. Melafia, these are long-term projects or projections, if I may put it that way. So in the short term, and like Mr. Melafia has said, we need to do something very quickly. What are those measures that we need to put in place very quickly?
Very
if you
simple
can
and
help
straightforward. I'm talking about the leadership. Buhari's leadership was well received by the International Trade Fund. I recall before he became the president of Nigeria, he was invited to the White House. And the U.S. economy is far ahead of even the next economy. So it's like when of course, they are the head of the World Bank, they are the head of the IMF, they are mentioning, even though they don't say it, they also control the UN, even though this is not. So a country like that for the first time says, I have a Mr. Integrity I can work with, and we have a binational relationship, both with the USA. So in the short run, what are the key requirements that made a Buhari, a populist leader? Basic things, like transportation. He can crush the prices of transportation, and the ripple effect on the economy will be so huge. If you say you're going to wait for the railway system to work, it's another 10, 15 years. But today or yesterday, you could get Mack trucks with the kind of Mack trucks over 30,000 Mack trucks, because this Nigerian economy is quite a huge economy. You could look at it, even the bus system, the intra-city and all that. He was with Angela Michael, and you had all these opportunities to immediately date this, open workshops. You can also go into the agriculture sector, like Melafia has been said. But why I disagree with Melafia is that in economic policies, you need to look at your cash cow. Intensify the cash cow for the moment is oil and gas. And you intensify that, and then you leverage the other economy for the diversification.
All right. On that note, I want to say thank you very much, Gautima Liman, public affairs analyst. And of course, you do have a lot of knowledge when it comes to oil and gas.
But the idea has been so specialized.
Okay. And former Deputy Governor of the Central Bank, Obadiah Melafia, it's always a pleasure talking with you. Thank you very much for your insights on the show this morning.